Today is November 20th, 2014, and I'm sitting outside in my beautiful car that I never thought I'd be driving. I used to have a dream when I was a little girl. Something about that BMW symbol just had a level of status, of, wow, that symbol means something. It means that the person that gets to be in that car knows something that I don't know. And at one point in my life, I didn't think that I'd ever know that something. But I guess I figured it out, right? Because I'm sitting in my beautiful BMW that I never thought I'd ever possess, especially at this point in my life. And I'm outside of my son's school, inside of a beautiful neighborhood that I never thought I would live. And I'm waiting for him to get out of school. And so I figured this would be a great time to chat with all of you, because I have the time and I have the freedom. What I wanted to talk to you guys first about is, I'm going to bring you back to when I was a little girl. My dad died when I was 3.5, a few months before I turned 4. We weren't living with him at the time. My mother and my father were separated, and I was the baby, and so I lived with my mom, and my older sisters and brother, lived with him. And so I didn't know him that well, but something inside me loved him and knew him enough to know he was my dad, and I was looking forward to seeing him. And I remember having a conversation with him over the phone, and I remember it was a black phone, and I was in my kitchen, and he was telling me he was going to see me in a couple weeks. And he was telling me he was going to buy me a Care Bear. And at that time, I was very, very in love with Care Bears, because what they represented was love and happiness and all the different types. This Care Bear of luck and sharing. And my favorite was the Good Luck Bear with the little shamrock on it. I didn't really know what it meant, but it was green, and I guess I was into green that day, and I loved the concept of I really wanted a Good Luck Bear. And so he told me he was going to get him for me. So when he came to see me. In a couple weeks, he would see me. Well, unfortunately, I never got to see him again. He was killed a couple weeks later. Unfortunately, a week before my sister's birthdays. And sadly enough, his funeral was on their 12th birthday. They're twins. And obviously that took a toll on my future. It changed who I would have become if he was in my life. But one thing that I choose to look at that situation and circumstance and impact in my life is that I had to get a relationship with God. And not all of you that are watching this have a relationship with God. You may never have one. But finding a higher power or something to turn to that has a greater and stronger force than you do, and submitting yourself to that concept can really make a big difference in your future, in your existence right now. And so at the age 3.5, I had to surrender myself to God's perspective of he needed my father more than he needed him to be on this earth with me. Later on, I read a journal that my father wrote in every day. And one of the saddest parts was reading how sad he was. He wasn't happy. He didn't have enough money. He didn't have the job that he liked. He was struggling in love, struggling with relationships. And he couldn't afford to give my sisters the gifts that he wanted to give them for their birthdays in a couple days. And he, that's his last words But the one thing that I can say is a blessing is that I can see and read and hear what he thought about. And those thoughts impacted me for the rest of my life. That it made me realize, do I want to end my life that way one day? God knows. God is the only one that knows when my life is going to end. If I end today, do I want people to see that I lived my life and ended my life unhappy? No. I want to be able to say I'm ready to start my new life where I'm supposed to be with God. Because my father wasn't ready to see God, to meet him, to end his journey, make that the end of that journey to heaven. He wasn't ready at all. He thought he would have another chance, an opportunity to change things. But it wasn't, he didn't have enough time. His time was up. And that made me realize at a young age that we don't know how long we have here. And we don't have a second chance. So we have to make it right. We have to live our lives the way we intend it to, the way we dream. Because God puts those thoughts and those visions in our mind for a reason. Because they're real. Because they're possible. Or else our mind wouldn't put them there. We wouldn't be able to see something that isn't real. I'm going to leave you with that to think about. Do you live your life thinking that you're going to have another chance? That you're going to have another shot one day? The only way you will is if you make that choice right now. Because if you wait till tomorrow, you don't know if tomorrow is going to come. Until next time.